सर्वधर्मान् परित्यज्य मामेकं शरणं व्रज.
The miseries of material existence and the most hopeless conditions of life is the best possible opportunity to turn to God.
You're listening to Bare Knuckle Bhakti Shorties on the Bhakti Recovery Podcast with Jiva G, coming at you every Monday with a little spiritual something. Well, hello. Hello, everyone. Happy Monday. How are you? So, this week, what's going on this week? This weekend? So much to learn. You know what I love? I love being a beginner, guys. I just love it. I want to always be a beginner. For the rest of my life, I want to be a beginner. Because when we're beginners, we have a curious mind and exploring, and it's not only exciting, it's also it's promising, and there's a lot of hope in being a beginner. You know, one thing this week that I've been noticing is there's a lot of self-doubt when it's not necessary, when it's not necessary at all. And I'm not talking about like the confidence that we get, by believing yourself. It's not that. It's more about the confidence you get when you trust God and try and surrender my will and my life over to Him. Do the works, but leave the results to Him. And having that be sort of the leader in my life, then I can have confidence. It doesn't mean I'm not going to make mistakes. It doesn't mean that I'm not going to fumble, trip, fall. It doesn't mean any of that. What it does mean, though, is that I have hope and strength to move forward. And I'm keeping in close contact with God and people who understand who I am, the body I've been born in, my dharmic fate, or I'm struggling with English, you guys. Help me. My dharmic path, or just what I've been given this, and having confidence in that and believing in that and saying, okay, this is the path, this is where I'm going, and I will not falter. And the reason why I will not falter, and I don't mean make mistakes, like I said before, I will not falter as far as this is the path I'm going on. And I know in my deepest of deep hearts that is the right path. I have the right people around me. And that's just not a given. Getting the right people around me has been trial and error. It's been a journey in itself. Because what people are reflections. What they speak are reflections of either my faith, my insecurities, whatever's going on that day. They're just a projection of myself. And when somebody says something or does something that it doesn't sort of in line with my daily program, with my belief in God, or how I practice my Krishna consciousness, or how I practice my my program, when I meet somebody like that and I'm not confident through God's grace and through working my program and through breathing and all of that stuff, if I'm not confident, then those words will affect me in a way that will make me stumble. Now, here's the dance. Guys, here's the dance. The dance is this. Don't be overconfident. Like, I can't afford to be overconfident. And I don't think I ever suffer from being overconfident, actually. I don't think that that's one of my problems. But I don't want to rest in the safety of thinking that I'm right all the time. And that's why it's important for me to keep counsel of people who know and who I know are people who are going to give me a direction and a way to and the tools and a big good backpack on the way in that direction to go. Things that will empower me, things that will make me self-reflect, things that will make me understand what the bigger, what the bigger game is, when sometimes my head is just in, my own head, the bigger picture. And the bigger picture is so important sometimes. I'm so fortunate to have people like that in my life. And like I said, it didn't come easy. When I go to India or when I go to a typical ISKCON temple, which is beautiful in its own right, and I get usually unsolicited advice, but when I do get this advice, sometimes it's just so off. It might be shastrically and Vedically totally correct, but sometimes it's so off and so just not helpful. And doesn't mean it's wrong. It just means it's not helpful in that moment. I need my sadhana, my association. I need all those things to be healthy in order for me to not let something like that throw me off track. I had a friend call me the other day, someone suggesting to her, very, very kind of fundamentalist, and that's great. Actually, we need fundamentalists. Fundamentalists gets a lot of things done, everything, every kind of flavor, mood, rasa that we have, like the Jews, you have the Orthodox, you got the conservative, and you got the reformist. So, you have that with everything, you have the Catholics, you got the Christians, and you got the born agains. And it's kind of the same in Bhakti. You have the real purists who are just like super following, everything and traditional, and that is beautiful in its own right. And then you have sort of the grihastas who do the best they can, are really, they chant their 16 rounds. They do everything that they're told to do. They're still, maybe drinking a coffee or a tea or whatever it is, right? And then you got your reformists, your Krishna lovers who like the kirtan, and maybe they're still drinking or doing whatever it is that they're doing. It's all, everyone needs to figure out where they fit in. The Shastras, I believe for myself, is the absolute truth. Anything that I read, it's the absolute truth, and I relate to it as that. But it doesn't mean that I can follow everything. It just doesn't mean that. What it is here's the absolute truth, and how far can I come in this lifetime to live to the best of my ability as close to God as possible, using the tools that are offered as a suggestion or as a formula or as a recipe. And it's the same in a program. The program for me is also the absolute truth. And they are suggestions for me to live by, for me to practice, to get closer to God and farther away from my character defects. And sharing these two worlds and bringing them together has also been a very long journey. I spoke to Mahatma Prabhu yesterday. I had a very interesting conversation with him. And by the way, I take a lot of counsel from him, as I believe he is very sensitive to, and I think most people know, if you know who Mahatma Prabhu is, you'll know that he's big on mental health, as well, because he knows the importance. If our mental hygiene is not up to a certain standard, we can't even practice bhakti. How are we going to practice bhakti if we're disturbed all the time, if we have all of these anarthas, if we have all these traumas, if we have all this stuff going on? We had this call yesterday, and the main topic was, how can I how can I let people know that bringing these two worlds together, because sometimes I have a feeling that maybe some of the Bhakti recovery group people, members, some get shied away because the idea of committing to a program of recovery and committing to a Bhakti program, both of them bringing a high level of commitment if we want to flourish in it. So, if you want to practice a good program, you do 90 meetings in 90 days, you get a sponsor, you work the steps, you go to meetings, you do service. These are sort of like the regs in a 12-step program. Yeah, and then in Bhakti we have all of those. We have the 4 regulative principles, we have the chanting of 16 rounds a day, we have the kirtan that we should be doing, we have our deity worship. There's and this is also a commitment, and all of that is a lot of time, and I would say 98% of us are grihastas. We're householders. We're people living in the world who have jobs, children, families. To fit time for all of that is a huge commitment. But Mahatma Prabhu said something, and I'm going to make this a cup or a t-shirt. And he said, your 12-step program is your bhakti. It is your bhakti. It's not that you have to do 2 parallel. They complement each other. While you're doing service for the Bhakti recovery group or for other devotees who are in recovery, you're doing service for Krishna, and you're doing service for the others in recovery. While we're at a meeting, we read Gita, so we're listening, and we read 12-step literature, and now we're having a meeting, and we do a sangha. One does not cancel out the other. They complement each other. It is sadhu sangha. And we study literature from Srila Prabhupada, and we study literature from all different diverse 12-step programs. And we know, actually, we should be called the Anarthas Anonymous, because the Anarthas is what is in our way. And one of the Anarthas can rear its ugly head as addiction, but we all know that each addiction, no matter what it is, no matter how it's manifested, behind it, when that was our solution, and when we take that away, the problem doesn't go away. It gets better, but it doesn't go away. So that's why I love the Bhakti Recovery Group, because we take it to a deeper level of recovery. And it doesn't add extra work, actually. It actually takes away a lot of work. That's how I see it. So, yeah. And that's where I'm at. That's kind of what's been going on this week. I'm doing my boxing, and I got to tell you, people, this training is life-changing. I'm not training in boxing so I can get in the ring and knock someone's head off. That's not the reason why I'm doing it. I'm never even going to get in the ring. I'm 56 years old. I'm not getting in the ring. I got problems with my ears from too much rock and roll. I've blown my eardrums out. I've got balance problems. There's no way I'm going to be able to take a punch. It's not the reason why I'm doing it. But it's been a life changer. I'm literally, when I go to training, I've got a trainer who tells me to concentrate. I have a trainer who tells me, Gwen, he calls me Gwen, because that's my born name. You started 2 months ago. When you came in here, you couldn't do 1 round. Now you're doing 10. And it taught me to be able to look at small, short little progress steps and have it literally there for me physically. And while sweating and being sick for so long, I was sick for so long, and while sweating and training and really trying to push myself just the right amount, learning this is I can take this into my spiritual life. I can take this into my into my mental life. I'm learning so much. I actually cried tears of gratitude today because training was like another layer of the bullshit I tell myself. I'm not good enough, not good enough. It's like the beginner thing, right? It wasn't that I was a beginner. I'm super grateful to be a beginner. But it was like, what did I, after being sick for so long, after being practically in a wheelchair, not being able to walk more than 10 minutes without collapsing almost. And, the consequences of that now, all my muscle has died. I have no more muscle left. And having the opportunity to train those muscles back and to, at the same time, push myself but not be hard on myself. I got a trainer, like I said, he projects what I would like for me to tell myself, and he's good for me. And I love how every little thing in life that I do, I can reflect on it and say, okay, this is something that I can bring into every situation of my life, All right, guys, that's it. I hope this helps. I hope anyone can get something from this. I say this every time, but it is true. I'd also like to say, retreats, guys, retreats. I will be at Wisdom of the Sages at Super Soul Farm for Bhakti Recovery at the Wisdom of the Sages retreat in October. I think that's the weekend of the 16th. No, the weekend of the, sorry guys, it is the weekend of the 12th, 13th. It'll be, I think it's 11th, 12th, and 13th of October. I will be there, and I will be holding BRG meetings on the side. Another BRG retreat is in India. If you guys want to know anything about that, please email at bhaktirecoverypodcast@gmail.com. And you can write me an email and find out. We'll be in India, also with Wisdom of the Sages, and Raghu, and Kastuba, and Radhanath Swami. And it's going to be wonderful. So, and we'll be doing deep dives, step workshops in beautiful India. At the Govardhan Eco Village, which is a really small, it's a small paradise in the middle of huge India, but it's a huge property. It's a self-sustained village, totally clean, nothing like you would imagine India to be, luxury rooms, and it's a beautiful place. If you need some information on that, you can go to wisdomofthesages.com. And you can find out about that and sign up. And if you have any questions, please ask them, on my Gmail. All right. And that'll be in January. Sorry. That's in January this year. The 12th of January till the end of January. So, that's it. Hope you guys have a great week, and talk to you Thursday. Haribol, Hare Krishna. Thanks for listening. I hope you liked the Monday Shorties. Don't forget to check out our full-length episodes on Thursdays. If you like what you heard, spread the word. Peace out.
सर्वधर्मान् परित्यज्य मामेकं शरणं व्रज.
The miseries of material existence and the most hopeless conditions of life is the best possible opportunity to turn to God.